Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing everyone's favorite video, and it is my favorite books of the year. So I will be gushing about the books I read. I read about 80 books last year. Overall, I feel like my reading was pretty mid. Didn't really read much that I hated, but I also don't feel like I had like tons and tons of 5 stars, but I definitely had some surprises. And I already have, at this point, you should have already seen my most disappointing and my most surprising. And some of those most surprising, they've also made their way over into here. So, but we'll talk more about that. But first, let's talk about my honorable mentions, because I do have 7, which is crazy. But I definitely was like, these are not in my top 10 favorites, but I want to mention them. Like, I want people to still know that I appreciate them and I like them. So, number 7 being Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. This was the first book I've read by her, but let me tell you, this has me like absolutely excited because, and I've heard so many mixed things. I've heard some people that hate her writing and some people who love her writing, people who say her writing is very odd, and it is, but it was for me. And I didn't know it was for me, but it is. And I'm so glad that it is because I know she has a lot of books and I'm very excited to read like the Fairyland series. Probably the thing I'm most excited about because it's like more in the wheelhouse of what I normally read. But I know she has a lot of other stuff and I think some of it's like weirdly connected. I don't know. I want to read more by her for sure. Let me know if you have read all of her stuff, like what you guys think is good, or what's the next thing I should read. Number 6 is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is on many people's favorites list last year, and the writing is incredible. The exploration of a toxic relationship, incredible. Like the vampirism, just it is incredible. It wasn't. I think I was a little overhyped in my opinion, but like it was still so good. I listened to it and I feel like maybe reading it physically would be different because I've heard that from some people, like maybe, but I don't own it. I don't know if I will, but like I think there's going to be a continuation of the series too, but I'm not sure. I'm going to see what the reviews are for the sequel before I determine if I pick that up or not. But this first book, so good. Then I have Theft of Swords, or whatever the first one is, because I know there's a bind up. I don't own it either, but there's a bind up. I listened to the full cast audio narration of the movie and the graphic audio version, and I really liked it a lot. It had a lot of like fantasy tropes in it, so it was kind of basic, but in this way that was just fun. It was just fun. So I need to read the second part of that first book still, because I would like to continue on with Michael J. Sullivan. I know he has a lot of books though, so I have to determine. I'm more prioritizing Robin Hobb this coming year. I feel like that's what I'm gonna like. I don't know. Maybe I just need like one of those like big epic long fantasy series a year, because I don't know if I can do. I wish I could do like multiple epic fantasies just all year long. Like I wish I could read like Malazan and Robin Hobb and like Wheel of Time. I wish I could just read them all in the same year, but like that's very unrealistic. Definitely want to read more of Michael J. Sullivan's work. Then we have Burn for Me by Ilona Andrews. This one was a 4-star for me, and I can just tell that this author duo is going to be something that I eat up, because I love mystery, I love fantasy, I love romance, and I love all of them together. And I feel like their setup is like, it's very simple, but it's not like the beginning of the book. It just kind of like goes over like, these are the rules and how the world works. And which is great, because then you don't have to have like characters info dump at you throughout the whole like series or book or whatever. And this was just so good. It was just so good, and the character interactions were good, and the mystery part of it, and the family dynamics of Nevada and like her like I was into it. So I've already started the sequel as well. There's another one I'm going to be continuing. I love an urban fantasy. I love that. Is like that's my shit. I love things like Buffy or Charmed or Supernatural, like that kind of stuff. If you have any recommendations like that in books, like I need it. And I know Ilona Andrews is another author with like tons and tons and tons of work. So another one that I think, because it's urban fantasy, like I could handle doing it this year also. I would like to at least finish the it's the Hidden Legacy series. That's what this is. Next we've got Ace of Spades. I listened to this on audio. This is by Faride Abike Yemedi. And like it was just so good. It was very much Gossip Girl meets Get Out as it's advertised. I feel like it definitely delivers on the execution of that, and the ending was wild. And I thought it was a good time. And I definitely am intrigued to read whatever she comes out with next, because I think I'd like to see her go more adult with stuff, or stay in YA. I honestly, whatever she writes, I think I will want to read it. And this was a 4-star read for me. Next we have The Death of Vivek Oji by Kweke Emeze. Now this one is, I read this, and I think this is my favorite that I've read by them. I want to read more by them. I know that romance, like that romance has been very polarizing. The You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. We'll see how I do with it. But this is, I read this and I read Pet. And I definitely preferred this over Pet. I felt like this was less confusing. Something about Pet in my brain, I don't know. But this, like the writing in here, incredible. The ending in here, gutted me. So like this, I don't have words. Like this is like speechless. And then we've got Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, another author with a whole lot. I've read this and Grown, and I want to read everything by her. I love mystery thriller stuff, and I feel like she's, again, this ending, like, just had me shook. So, like, the way things were certain reveals happened, the way that you know, it's hard to not spoil things, but, like, it was just, I love the way that she writes. I find her books very compelling. Especially, I do think I prefer Grown over this by just a little bit, but this was still incredible. This was still so good. Yeah, I will be reading way more by her. I hopefully one day will have read all of her work. Okay, and now for my official top 10, which the biggest surprise for me is that the romance genre, as I've said in my surprising videos, I think the romance genre just really came for my throat this year, because number 10 is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I read this and Take a Hint, Danny, which most people's favorite is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. But something about Chloe Brown, that was just my girl. Like, I was just reading this, relating to her, and I'm so excited to read E. Brown. Like, I need to finish that series as well. I just loved her. I mean, it was just fun. It was cute. This was like, I guess, technically my first contemporary romance that I've read in a while. I feel like I've probably read others that I just can't think of at the moment. But like this one, again, like I previously said, like Emily Henry is one, like she seems like the kind of one, she's like the one that people who are not super always into romance read and they pick her up. And I'm gonna be someone who's actually here for like the tropes in the romance genre, I feel like, because that's what I feel like Get a Life, Chloe Brown is about. I feel like this is the one, this is for the romance girls. Like this is for the people who are like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. And like the smut, yeah, the smut. I mean, I definitely believe in these characters' chemistry. I definitely have critiques of the ending. Like this is like why it's number 10 is because like the conflict at the end was definitely like kind of dumb, but everything before that just was so good. Next up we have The Maid by, I think it's Nita Prose. This one, I think I read this in a day. And this is when I realized to myself, and I think to myself like, okay, I love fantasy. I think I always want to read fantasy. I'm always trying to read, I'm all about the fantasy, but then I read other genres and I'm just like, oh, like this is like the barrier to entry is so much lower and there's so much less world building that has to happen because you're just in the same, like romance and mystery. Those two genres are just like, they're just as fun and I like them just as much. And I need to realize that and I need to focus that. I need to think about that when I go to pick up whatever I decide to read. Anyways, The Maid was just so much fun. I loved Molly as a character. I thought she was, again, me relating to a neurodivergent character yet again. But like, and I'm like, am I neuro? I don't know. I loved her. I loved all the people in the hotel. I thought it was cozy. It was a cozy mystery. I'm going to read the sequel, hopefully in the next few months. Like, I definitely want to continue this story because it was just, and her grandma, like, I mean, everything about this book was incredible. It was a 4 out of 5. Loved it. Next, the fact that this is making my favorites, and I know so many of you were so disappointed, and trust me, there are things about the book that I am also disappointed in. However, this Chain of Thorns, this book, I know what you, I know, but I still loved it. I literally read this way back in January of last year. And I remember like picking this up and I just immediately fell. This is on the opposite side of why I still love fantasy, because it's like I pick this up and you're just immediately immersed in the world because I've read all of this shit before I got here. I'm already invested in her writing. I'm already invested in her characters. And Chain of Iron was one of the best Shadowhunter books that I know. There's all these critiques, but she writes the same stuff over and over. Chain of Iron did things that we've never seen in the Shadowhunter world before, in a way. And like, I picked this up and I ate this up. I devoured this. I have friends I talked to on the phone about it. Like, I have such fond memories reading this book. Like, I found this to be like, yes, the ending has things that disappoint me about it, but like the experience is still, I gave it almost 4.5 stars. Like it's just something about her writing and her characters, they just always hit for me. And I am so excited to read Swordcatcher. I have Swordcatcher, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But I'm excited. I'm so excited for whatever she does next. I will be, listen, and I know so many people were disappointed. I know you were. I know you were. Matthew Fairchild will always be a character who means so much to me. So many of her characters mean so much to me. I don't even have words. Like she is the author who got me to even pick up a book. Like it's just always going to be important to me. And it is what it is. Okay, next we have an author who's going to be dominating my favorites list. And that is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This was so fun. It's very different from her other work, but in her other work, you'll see how I feel about all her work, except for one exception. But this, she really came for everyone. So she didn't give a fuck. She doesn't care who you are. She doesn't care where you come. She does not care. She doesn't care if you're a Twitter stan. She doesn't care if you're in the publishing. She doesn't care if you're an author. She does not. She came for every single person involved. She came for the reviewer. She came for the author. She came for everybody. And I love that. I love that she attacked every single person. She is a cunt in the best way. She is that bitch. Like she just is that bitch. And I have so much respect for this woman. Is only like 20 something years old and has written 5 novels, and they are all there. I mean, the ones I've read are just, I do have a couple critiques of this, but not in a way that's like bad. I don't even know how to describe it. I have a whole video with one of my bookish friends. We did a whole live show discussing this book, and this was thrilling. This was, even though it's not a thriller, it's like kind of a more, I don't know what we're classifying this as, but like she's so good. I love the characters that she writes that are supposed to be unlikable, because she has a way of getting you to think like them, even though you know you shouldn't think like them. But she has a way of just convincing you that what else was she supposed to do? What else was she supposed to do? All right, and then next we have the first volumes of Full Metal Alchemist. This was, I took my time reading this. I think I read about halfway and then I stopped, but then I picked it back up and it was so good. And the ending to this is a huge cliffhanger, and I need to continue this because I want to watch the anime. But like this has so many things. Like this had, like, I love these symbols here, honey. Okay, I love this shit. And I know people that I follow have compared the magic system in this to like kind of sort of alchemy and Streams of Dreamer-ish type stuff. I don't know, but the main 2 characters in here, the brothers, stunning. The people that, like, the stakes are raised in here by the, like, it's just so good. And then you think it seems like it's gonna have a lot of tropes in fantasy that I love, and I'm very excited to read all of this. I'm very excited. Okay, now getting back to R.F. Kuang. We have The Dragon Republic. Now, last year, I couldn't mention it because it was a HarperCollins strike situation, but The Poppy War was my favorite book of last year, so I immediately continued the series. I continue the series. I love the series. The series is incredible. The 3rd book hasn't shown up yet, but trust me, it will. I love R.F. Kuang's writing. I love her character development. I loved the fantasy elements of this. I feel like people don't really talk about the fantasy elements of this. Like, the fantasy elements of this are some of my favorite. They're my favorite shit. I love them so much. I love the mythology. I love the history. I love the way she weaved in, like, how she made. I loved it so much. But I have another entry of the series on here, so I'll talk about the whole series when I get there. Okay, then we have the Tea Dragon Society. This one is just so cute and so wholesome and so LGBT, and the art style is stunning, and I definitely am going to continue this series as well because I absolutely loved it. It's just adorable. It's just adorable. Like, these characters, they just get together. It's just so simple and cozy and cute, and just no notes. I have no notes. Okay, next, I don't know if you guys realized these were going to be this high up on the list, but I have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Again, I need to read more of her work because look at how much I loved this shit. And I know people say it's all samey, so I feel like because everyone says it's so samey, I haven't read the rest of it because I don't want to I need to be in the mood for it. But when I was in the mood for this, absolutely stunning. Honestly, I'm just going to point you to my most surprising reads video because I feel like I talked about this at length in there, as well as my number 2 favorite book, The Kiss Quotient, another romance. Who would have known? Who would have known these romances? But again, I talked about both of these ad nauseum in my most surprising reads, so I feel like I kind of did all that there. And you should absolutely check out that video if you want to know more. I mean, I'll just tell you here, I loved what these did as far as the escapism, the cutesiness, the romance, the forgetting about stupid bullshit in life and just having fun. And that's what I loved about. I love this one more, but this one was close. This one was really close. And finally, my number one favorite book of 2023 that I read all the way back in February is The Burning God. Again, R.F. Kuang, just, I don't know what, something about the way, I heard that she used to live in my city, and that doesn't matter, but like, I don't know, I just feel like there's so much between what she says, there's so much that you have to kind of like infer with what she's writing, or maybe not, because I feel like she is kind of like, I mean, that's the critique of what I've heard from her other books is that she's so, lays it all out there for you. But she's writing these books that are not supposed to be for the general public, or she's taking these concepts and ideas that are supposed to be like elite, and she's kind of like she's kind of, I don't know, not dumbing them down, but she's making them just all the more, I don't know. The way part 2 of this book ended had me absolutely shook, and just like Rin as a character is one of my favorite, like top 10 favorite fantasy characters of all time. The way that she is just an absolute bitch, like towards everyone, doesn't give a fuck about anyone at all, like at all. And there's like a little novella in the back here that I sobbed because I sobbed. And if you know, you know. Everyone that doesn't like this book and thinks that this is the weakest in the series, I don't agree. I think this is absolutely incredible, and I don't know how she's going to top this. I don't know how she's going to write a series better than this. I don't know how she could. And I cannot believe the age that she wrote this. Which I have a full spoiler-free mostly review for the Poppy War. Also, I posted that sometime last year. But this, like, it's been so long since I read it at this point. Like, but I know that I want to reread this series. Like, I know I want to reread it at some point. Like, this, like, it's kind of like, the series is kind of like Mulan, but like, you know, you get 3 whole books with her. And again, the fantasy and the things that happen in this book, like there's things from the first book that you're like, oh, I guess she forgot about that person, or she's probably not going to bring that person back. No, everything mattered. Everything mattered. All the consequences of your girl's actions, they come to fruition in here. And that's what it's about, okay? That's what it's about. And that's all I have to say on that. So let me know if you agree, disagree, hated these books. Go off, sis. Just, yeah. I will also leave my Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter. It will all be in the description for you to check out if you would like. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.